Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, joined once again by Glenn Beck, Stubergear, and we have David Harris Jr. back in town.
Hey.
Glad to have
I
you
live
back.
here.
I can't.
Well, yes, but you went out of town.
Can we start with him? Because I want to hear about his weekend with the president.
Okay, so we'll do top story. David, you go first. What's your top story?
So the social media summit at the White House.
Yes. All right, a lot to get into there, Stu.
As you know, we are helpers here, and I want to alert the Democrats to an ongoing issue. I looked at their fundraising numbers, and I see income inequality. And I want to make sure they're aware of it so they can address it.
Okay, Glenn.
And I just want to remind them of their poll numbers. Oh my, they look wonderful.
All right, obviously a lot to get into here.
Good show.
First, we want to thank our sponsor, realestateagentsitrust.com.
I want you to know I'm not endorsing this company. I own this company. This is a company that I started with the guy who's like my brother. I mean, we grew up together. He grew up in our house. And he had tried to sell his house, and he had a really great house. It was up in Washington State. Things were going well. He just couldn't take any of the progressives anymore, and he couldn't sell his house. I was having the same problem, and we both were commiserating, and we thought, there's got to be a better way. Well, through another business, I started to work with the Wall Street Journal's 500 best real estate agents in the country. And so I started asking them, how do you find a good real estate agent? There's actually a really good system and formula that you don't need to know. We've put it together and we've found the best real estate agents so you don't have to worry about it. You just write to us at realestateagentsitrust.com. You can read all about us. We will get you in touch with the best real estate agent in your area for buying your house, selling your house, realestateagentsitrust.com.
All right, David. You were at the White House last week with President Trump at the social media summit.
Yes, I was.
What an amazing opportunity.
It was absolutely amazing. It was pretty surreal, too, just the amount of people that were there, the individuals that were there. But my third time at the White House, I was there twice before. This was the first time we got to kind of sit down and just really listen to him speak and share, and then he asked us questions. I also got to partake in a little a meeting beforehand where about 15 of us got to talk to the behind-the-scenes White House media department and really hear their strategy, and they were really interested in what we had to say. And the number one topic was we have to stop the censorship. It's like no matter what kind of coordinated effort that we try to do with the president to try to help use our voices to help enhance his, if the social media tech giants just continue to have their way censoring us, like the video I showed 2 months ago, then it's not gonna matter. Mm-hmm. So it was good to hear some of the strategies that they've got in place, and really just to understand and see that they are taking it very seriously. So that was amazing. Mm-hmm. Then we got into the summit, where Donald Trump shared that he's had his own censorship. Diamond and Silk were in front of Congress because they shared about their own censorship. I've been dealing with it. And it's really a discrimination is what's happening. And in some cases, it's not even necessarily that it's biased politically, but part of what's opening the door for this, I have a friend of mine, Jason Fick, that had 25 million followers on Facebook across several different pages, and Facebook unpublished pages that equivalated to 14 million followers. And then they flew a representative of Facebook out to do it to help with the deal if Jason actually would sell the rights to those pages over to one of his competitors. Well, that's anti-competition, antitrust. So it's it was all about the money. Yeah. His pages, he was generating revenue of hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. So it goes to the money part of it. It's the greed, but then obviously we don't agree with their ideologies, Facebook as a whole. And James O'Keefe was there. He exploded the thing with the Google censorship. It was surreal. It was awesome. And then we got invited to the Rose Garden, where we actually got to sit in the mainstream media's seats. He kicked them out behind the rope.
They were not happy about that.
And had us sitting in their chairs. So I feel like that was kind of prophetic in that we. They had tabulated the numbers on all of us influencers that were in the room, and he said, combined, we have a greater reach than any one network on television. Wow. So I believe it was almost symbolic in that social media influencers are replacing the mainstream media, because Americans are tired of hearing the the garbage for a year and a half, Russia collusion, Jussie Smollett, to hear all these things and find out they're fake. And B, it's average Americans that just care about our country and are doing research to find out what's actually taking place and then sharing it and people responding to it. So the whole thing was amazing. There's more, but it was all awesome.
Did the president give any indication what he thinks the solution should be at all for all the censorship?
Well, he did say that he has some tools. He said we have tools that they know that we have and they don't want us to use them. So he's not one to, show his hand like past presidents. We're going to go do this and that and the other.
We're going to go bomb them at 3:30 this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, he does tweet a lot about exactly what he wants to do.
He'll tweet, but no, he didn't give any specifics on the tools that he has. But he definitely let us all know that he understands the importance of making sure that these voices that are replacing the mainstream media aren't silenced and don't continue to be silenced.
Glenn, it says a lot about what Americans think about mainstream media these days.
Well, it was Barack Obama who started this with his very first question in his very first press conference was to the Huffington Post, and that was monumental. That was the first time anyone online was asked in a press conference any question, let alone the first question. And I think it was, like, how lovely is your wife's arms or something, some question like that. But the mainstream media just doesn't understand. They're over. They really are over. And I think we don't understand that either. There are more people listening to, us watching Steven Crowder, watching you than usually is watching anything on CNN. I mean, they're just collapsing under their own weight. And that's usually when people run to the government for help. And you're seeing this with with Facebook and Google. They are, as we explained yesterday, creating this pluralism. And the new definition of pluralism is the people are too stupid to vote for people because, look, they vote people like Donald Trump in. So we have to be the guardians, and we will shape their opinions. This is nothing new. This goes back to Wilson and Colonel House. But now they have the ability to do it with their algorithms. And, I wonder, unless the president and Congress move pretty quickly, I really think this election is in real danger because I think they will do anything to stop him from being in, and we'll be manipulated in such subtle ways you won't even notice. Yep. You won't notice.
Still.
It's interesting, the importance of this, right? I mean, we have had two people who really deep in tech that have said the same thing over the past couple of months that really took me off guard and kind of surprised me. Blake Harris and Tim Pool, who both said the same thing, that the right is actually better at the internet than the left is. Michael Malice said the same thing when he was on, that the right is actually better at the internet. They do it better. We understand it better. And, I'm just so used to losing when it comes to like a new technology. Like the right is always terrible at it. Like we're awful at entertainment. We're awful at so many of these things, and the left has dominated them for so long. When it comes to like political, like reaching people politically on the internet, the right has done a really good job with it. And that is why it's so crucial and why it's such a big focus for not just the companies like Facebook and Google, who have like split interest. I mean, I think they definitely have an ideology, but also like they have a monetary concern. But all the people that we outlined from that article that was on Spin Quark this week of people who were in the political world working high levels at campaigns that decided to leave all politics behind and go work at Facebook in a position where they get to decide,
policies and algorithms.
That's not something that's secondary to them right now. They understand that conservatives have actually figured this out pretty well.
And we are not usually good at things unless it's a free market. And the internet was the wild, wild west. We're pioneers. We like doing those things. We just like doing them ourselves instead of having the government help us do it. So we mastered that. But the thing the left is good at mastering is control.
Right.
And now they are coming in and doing what they do best. And I think we're losing our opportunities to pay attention to it. And every day that we get closer to this election, the smaller our voices are going to become unless we act.
Yeah. Stu, you said income inequality among the Democrat candidates?
I'm very concerned about it because some candidates are making more money and raising more money, and other candidates don't have as much. And obviously, we should just smooth this out, socialism style. Everyone gets like $5 million, and let's see what happens. It's interesting to see that fundraising numbers did come out for quarter two, and you learn a lot from fundraising numbers. You're going to learn like what is the momentum of a campaign? How are they actually decent of a job are they actually doing running their campaigns, and also like how serious are they as a contender moving forward? If you have no cash, what are you going to do? Like you're going to be in big trouble. So we have them. This is the 23 candidates we have the fundraising numbers from. The deadline was yesterday, and this is all kind of coming out. I just point out a couple things as we go through this list. 23 to 19 here, which is Wayne Messam at 23, Gravel at 22. Yes, these people are actually running.
Who's Gravel again?
He's an 88-year-old former Alaskan senator. Who's interesting fact about Mike Gravel, the last day he held a job in the government was Ronald Reagan's first day in office. That is how old he is. And then you have de Blasio and Hickenlooper in that bottom tier here, the lowest tier. The thing I would say that's most amazing about this, the bottom tier, is how awful Bill de Blasio's number is. It's impossible for me to express how terrible this number is. Remember who Bill de Blasio is. This is a guy who holds sway over the everyday lives of the financial center of the world that is filled with rich Democrats. I'm not surprised at all he has 0 and 1% in these polls. The fact that this guy can't raise money just from, like Trump has talked about this before, right? Like, this is the way you do business in New York. You're going to kind of throw some money to the politicians that are going to help your life. That's why he said he donated to people like, Schumer and everything, because that was like how you do things in New York. He can't even get people to bribe him. De Blasio is so awful. People won't even give him money as a bribe.
I was just in New York for a week. No, de Blasio's worse than you think. You should see that city. Yeah. It is a wreck.
Yeah, and
it's a wreck.
And they legitimately hate him.
Yeah,
and it's like
do.
It's not because he's
Democrats.
Passed, it's not because he's passed socialist policies, which he has, but they like that. It's just that he's actually that bad at the job. And to just express how bad that number is, it was 1.1 million, I believe, was his number. He was not there for the entire quarter, so he'd have a little bit of I just started my campaign. The next page here shows you Tulsi Gabbard at 1.6, Moulton at 1.9, Bullock at 2.1. And Gillibrand at 2.3. Bullock had basically the same amount of time to raise money. He's the governor of Montana, okay? And this is like, this is not New York City and Wall Street, right? To the next page.
This is cows and sagebrush.
Yes, exactly. A couple things to note here on this next page, which is Julian Castro, and up to Bennett here with Inslee and Yang on here. Bennett also had about the same amount of time as, and he's a senator from Colorado, and he raised over 3 times the amount of money as Bill de Blasio, just to point on that, of how bad that number was. Castro's interesting in that, like, he had a nice burst after his debate performance, so the 2.8 million numbers is actually fairly impressive for him.
Same with Yang.
And Andrew Yang, here's a guy who, again, no one knew who this guy was. He's raised 2.8 million. He's spending at a very high rate, though. He has almost no money in the bank. So Yang does need to kind of figure out how to do this.
He doesn't win because we will not vote for a president with a weird last name.
Really?
Yeah, that's
you want to necessarily go down
that's
that
what
road.
I know. That's what
And
I
we're all
heard.
racist.
That is what
I've
you
heard
heard.
that.
We'll all be racist.
We
'cause
will
we
not
don't
elect
have-
a man with a weird last name.
We go into the top 10 here as a number 9. Beto O'Rourke he's probably the biggest highlight. I think that most people looked at this and said, "What a disaster." He has raised 13 million total, but 9 million of that came from quarter 1. He went down to 3.6 million in quarter 2. Wow. Obviously, a massive drop off. The other thing is, most of the 9 million came in his first week. So we're talking about a guy who has been a disaster since like day 5 of his campaign, which is really bad. Klobuchar and Booker are in that middle ground there where you see them. Those are okay fundraising numbers. They should be able to continue their campaign, but they need to make a run soon. Delaney is a little misleading. He's personally wealthy. So of the 8 million, legitimately 7.8 million came from him.
In this quarter?
In this quarter, yes.
Boy, Do not invest your money listening to him.
Yeah.
He does not know a good investment when he sees it.
That's a good point. $280,000 he actually raised, I think it was, and it was 7.7 or 7.8 that he lent himself, which I don't know if that's getting paid back, sadly. So let's get to the top 5 here. This is top 5 frontrunners, as you know, in the polls, and they're in this place as well. Kamala Harris is interesting, and I would put Warren and Harris next to each other, contrast a little bit. It shows you, while Warren and Harris are very close in the polls, the fundraising, Elizabeth Warren did much better, 19.2 million to 11.8 million. And I think what you can read out of that is Kamala Harris at this point is a moment. She had a great moment, a great night, and that is what's driving her in the polls. Where Elizabeth Warren is really, I mean, I can't believe I keep saying these things, but Warren has done a good job from a foundational perspective of building a campaign from the bottom up. Most of these, her donors are very small. She is doing a great job raising money. I am shocked she's made a run here, but she has. She's got her 16, 17% of the polls is stronger than Harris's 16 to 17% at this point.
So I was at the Time 100 Most Influential People years ago, and the same year I won that, she was one of the 100. And everybody in the room said, she's just so likable. She's just so likable. She's great with small crowds, and because she'll just make you feel like she really understands you. And when you said small donors, that story came to mind.
Yeah.
But there are those people that think, you know what? She's just like me, and she has my concerns.
It's really interesting. I mean, her background, she has a good story from her background. She used to be a Republican, actually, and because of bankruptcy laws, it changed her. It's a very strange backstory, but it kind of turned her into a morally bankrupt person. No, I'm okay. So she's at 19.2 million. Joe Biden at 22 is a pretty good number. It's not a great number. He finished third. He did not have the entire quarter, so which kind of puts him behind. Bernie Sanders is at number 1. Again, also misleading. Part of that, about $7 million, was a transfer from his Senate campaign. So he was really at about 18 million, which would have put him about 4th on this list. The big star, though, is Buttigieg. Again, this guy is out fundraising way beyond his standing in the polls, way beyond any right he has to have all of this money if you just look at the fundamentals of the campaign. He raised $24.8 million, blew everybody else out of the field. This was his time where he kind of came into the limelight. Let's see if he can continue it going forward.
Real quick, can I just ask you this question? How much of Elizabeth Warren's money came from the casino?
It's a great point. It's a great
One
point.
1,024.
All right, we gotta take a break. We'll be back. It really is shocking to me.
Yeah,
I thought she was done.
The one I missed.
Oh my God. Don't.
Glenn,
Yes.
the new Democratic
Oh my
polls
gosh,
that
they're
came
on
out.
fire. They're on fire. I want to talk to you about the posse. I want to talk about the squad.
Squad.
I want to talk about these women. This is the Mod Squad. Look how popular they are. Now I love this. You have to remember these numbers came from the Democrats. Okay, whoopsie, I accidentally leaked this so you can see how much love
Clicked
is.
reply all by mistake.
Yeah,
And it went all
you
over
went all over. Okay, so here's Ocasio-Cortez. She has a score of 74% of people who know her.
Remarkable.
Okay, that is truly remarkable. I don't even think Abe Lincoln had that when he was in Congress. I think the only one maybe that could have beat her on this, literally the only congressperson ever to come in and in this quick of a turn have 74% recognition, I bet it was John Quincy Adams, because he was president
Right.
before he was a congressman. Recognized by 74% of the people, only 22% have a favorable view. 22%.
Wow.
What are those 22% thinking?
Yeah, that's high, right?
That's high.
That's high. Okay, so Ilhan Omar, recognized by 53% of the American people. She's favored by 9.
Oh.
Nine.
Wah.
Donald Trump is not in dangerous territories taking these two women on. He is not in a dangerous territory. 18% views socialism as favorable. That's another good thing. This gives me hope now.
And this is coming from inside the DNC.
Well, from a Democratic group.
Okay.
And it's an unnamed Democratic group. They didn't release their methodology. There are some hints that like you have to be a little bit, go a little slow.
Don't take away my hope still.
No, I know.
It might have been Nancy Pelosi just going, let's say 9%. But if you only take this away from it, they are in full-fledged civil war.
They are.
Yep.
And the mod squad has been taking on the Democratic Party, and they are making it very clear you're an enemy of ours, much more than the Tea Party ever did. The Tea Party never did that until the Nancy Pelosi's of the Republican Party ate the Tea Party people, okay? That's what happened. These guys have been eating Nancy Pelosi, and now Nancy's eating back. It's a food fight. It's great.
It's great to watch. They've
It
been
is.
eating themselves alive.
It is.
Now the
Reaching a
question
boiling
is,
point.
what created Donald Trump was the Tea Party stood up and won elections in 10. And we won the House, and we had momentum, and we were like, okay, we're going to restore the Constitution. Then we realized these clowns aren't serious at all. And they didn't do anything that they said they were going to do. And then we had another election, and that's when they said, you know what? Screw you. We're going to burn the Republican Party down to the ground with Donald Trump. Who do they have? You know, when they get so fierce, this group rises up and they turn against the Democratic Party. I don't think the Democrats are going to win this one. Maybe they do, but it'll be short-lived. Who comes on the other side that is their Donald Trump?
I think it's
Quick thought.
it's interesting to see this, who's smart and who's dumb here. I mean, I think Trump is smart to take these people on. I don't think he did it very cleanly in this particular moment, but like he's smart to see them as like someone on the other side, and that's good. It's good for Republicans to have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the face of their party. The one who I think is dumb here is Pelosi. She keeps picking fights with these four congresswomen. And that's all they're there for. They don't have any power. They want the media attention.
That's how you get 74% approval rate. I mean, notoriety.
It's working for her. They both, Trump and Ocasio-Cortez in that group, want the fight. They both like it. And so it's helping both of them. The only one it's not helping is Pelosi and the average Democrat.
Hey, before we go, I want to tell you about a really awesome cruise taking place, March of 2020, Glenn?
I don't know. I can't come fast enough. But Tim Ballard is joining us, and he was talking, there's a new movie about him in Operation Underground Railroad that's coming out, and the guy who plays him is Jim Caviezel, who was Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
JC.
So we're going to Israel. We're going to Venice, then Athens, and then Israel. And he said, I think Jim's coming too. Because they'll play the film on the ship.
Oh, wow.
So imagine going to Israel with Jesus.
With Jesus.
Jesus.
That's amazing.
That's gonna be. I have to figure out how we can. We're gonna freak some people out. I don't know what, but Jesus just coming around the corner. I wouldn't do that.
It's going to be Glenn, Jesus, Stu, Bill O'Reilly's joining them, David Barton, Rabbi Daniel Lappin, all of the people you want to surround yourself with when you're looking at all of these really historical places. You can go to comesailaway.com to learn more. Pick your package, mark it on your calendar.
Friday is the last day to get the early bird special, so you want to see. It'll save you for about $400.
Oh my gosh, you got to go there now. Comesailaway.com. We'll be back.
You know, Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning when he was in the cross.
Outtakes agent sent this over.
Jesus. Armadillo with a hairpiece. Can't argue with the ratings. I mean, he took a black hole at CNN and turned it into 600K in the demo. I mean, and he hates Obama. Set up a meeting.
I believe everything but the armadillo with a hairpiece.
Yes,
I believe that's how that went.
Really, you don't think? Because that's one of the nicest things I've ever heard anyone say about you.
No, I don't look like an armadillo with a hairpiece.
I don't know if that's true. I think we have. Can we see some evidence on this?
Yeah,
Do we have a
let's
side
see
by
it.
side?
That's not okay.
Oh my God,
That is the picture. That's the picture that he would have had. That was the picture, if I'm not mistaken, we were using at the time.
Your promo photo?
Yes.
Why did you do it in the grass? I don't know.
The other one.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, yes, I can see it now. I can see it now.
You don't look like that at all. For the record.
Thank you. Armadillo.